You're listening to the Talking TUF podcast, creating tough minds for fitness, nutrition, and business. With your hosts, Rob Foster and Josh Phelps.
Okay, so in today's episode, we are going to be going a little bit freeball. We are going to be chucking out a few different things today. We're not so structured. We want to just test it a little bit different. But we are going to cover a couple of things.
It might be quite a short one if we run out of things to say.
Oh, don't worry about that. I've had the coffee this morning and I'm ready to rock and roll. It's definitely going to cover a few things for sure, though. This last weekend, if I was to tell people what I actually ate, I think people would be disgusted because I'm a little bit disgusted myself and I'm not the only person that does this on the weekend. So that's a thing to touch on. But this weekend was particularly awful. Anyway, that's the thing. Morning routines, things about the power of the morning, how we're going to be feeling in the morning, getting started, getting cracking. This is a Monday morning. How do you get out of bed and actually make it feel good when it's a bit darker, a bit colder? And what are we going to do through the winter? Basically, some of the things we do maybe in the evenings as well. I know it's something you're going to be touching on. And a few different things that I think that people may take quite a bit from if we can start to introduce as some of our habits, as we always talk about. But let's start off with a little bit of not a gym fail, but a weekend fail.
Let's list what.
So if I was to say a couple of foods, right? If I was to say these foods, I wouldn't just say ding if they're good food and not so good food, Rob. So I hope your buzzer noises are good because that's where we're testing it. So one of the foods I consumed was a banana.
Ding.
Yeah, so it's not too bad, right? Okay. Also, Domino's pizza. Yeah. McDonald's, scone, cake. Yeah, it's there's quite a lot of.
I just thought it was McDonald's scone. I was thinking then.
No, they were both separate occasions. There was a McDonald's and a scone.
Maybe you put it in the just went just crazy.
Just in.
What do you have
with
in your
the
scone? Jam and cream? No, just a Big Mac.
Yeah.
You combine it.
I actually just went full on Big Mac in the scone.
There's a banana in there. Why did you put that in there? Just because?
Well, I needed one thing really. I mean, it's just obviously it was.
Caught me out then. I was ready for the.
Yeah, no. Listen. I would like to say it was all bad, but there was a banana. But listen, as you say, it's
banana was dipped in
chocolate,
chocolate,
peanut butter. But yeah, so it was a pretty dark weekend, really, in terms of food.
They happen.
Yeah, and do you know what? It's one of those. It's always funny. I always find it interesting because I do, if I'm really honest, I do find that if we don't have say a social gathering of drinking, and obviously that leads to usually some poor decisions of food, but not so much all the time. I often find myself going, right, well, what are we going to do? What's the treat as such? And the weekend, it's like, what's the weekend treat? It wasn't so much that, but we visited friends, and it was very nice. It was very civil, almost like afternoon tea. So yeah, very well done. But no, it was just pretty chilled out. Basically, had a cup of tea and they had scones, and I was like, oh, wicked! I haven't had a scone for ages, and it was unbelievable. There was proper jam and cream and I don't know when the last time you had one of those, but it was very good.
Very summer.
Then as I drove back, and this is talking about your environment, the people you surround yourself with, a heavily pregnant woman is not someone to argue with. And as I stopped off for diesel to fill up her car, which is something I like to do, I think it's a good deed. As I'm doing my good deed, she's like, "Oh, Maccas!" I'm like, "Oh no." It's like, when you're like, "No, come on," pulling her away, like dragging her. Or I just want some chips. So I wanted some chips. I'm like, oh, come on, look, it's like, listen, we've got food ready at home. Oh, come on, Josh, I just want some chips. So I ask you, don't ask for diamonds, I just want chips. I'm like, yeah, it's fair enough. It's a good argument. I don't want to ask him for diamonds, so I'll stick with the Macca's chips, 99p, as I did.
Does Sue listen to this?
Absolutely not. No, she hates. You can imagine, can't you? You imagine having a partner as ridiculous as me, who's always on a camera or recording something. She's probably like, have enough of your stupidity at home. I do not need to be, if she's going to be scrolling through her newsfeed, if she sees me, she's like, oh. You can imagine
every day.
Here he is. He's in my face. So yeah, turns out that I'm not very good at going through a drive-through without getting nothing. And it's like going shopping hungry. You can't do it. It's the worst thing ever. Don't ever go shopping hungry. You've all done it before. You buy so much crap, and you're like, why did I buy that? Now it's in the house. It's going to get you for the rest of the week. One mistake. Well, this basically gone to get some diesel and was hungry, which didn't think was ever going to be an issue.
Did they have a limited menu on, or did you get what you wanted?
to be honest with you, I'm just a wrap guy, I'm chicken wrap. What's your wrap of the day? Sweet, I'll have that.
Yeah, $1.99.
Done.
It's actually, to be fair, if you were, worst case, if you were caught out and you were like, McDonald's is the only option for some food, you can get away with one of those, like wraps, grilled version, 300 and something calories.
Yes,
to be fair though, it does.
Dirty crispy. Crispy chicken. See, you can make smart choices,
but then
I'm there,
you
right?
haven't. We sometimes make wraps to bring to work, packed out. Literally can't close them. Bit disappointing when you get the McDonald's one.
It's just
I've had it in the past
just
before.
Without being rude, I'm not trying to.
A bit of lettuce, a little bit of chicken, and there's not a lot of. Which is why they charge.
They're
$1.99
obviously doing all right for themselves, McDonald's. Not sure if you've heard of the company, but it's so sloppy. There was so much sauce in there, and that was the one thing that kept Sue away from my food as well, because she had her chips. Funny enough, her chips turned into chips and a hamburger. Shock. And then we're driving out. I'm having this wrap.
There's no love going into making that.
It was honestly, and when you're eating, you're like, I didn't want this anyway, and obviously being weak, and I've bought it, and I'm like, now I'm eating some dirty mayo wrap, and it's like barbecue sauce everywhere. It was like, you just feel like you want someone to take a photo of you at that point, just like, I'm disappointed in you. Anyway, so there was McDonald's. Yesterday, once again, I'm there. I've got my food. I've actually cooked my food. I've cooked food for Sue. And unfortunately, there wasn't the rice that I thought there was there. So I'm now eating, which is probably a bit weird anyway, just chicken. It had peppers, broccoli, which are just basically like a bit of a stir, like Thai green sort of stir-fry sort of thing. And I'm eating my way through that. And Sue's like, I've ordered a Domino's. And she can do that from her phone. So it's so annoying. She now it's like a surprise attack. And we've had this, and don't get me wrong, I sound a little bit like a psycho now. She's heavy pregnant. She can't let her get what she wants, whatever. But I'm a bit like, oh, come on, I've just watched you smash the worst food all weekend. Obviously, she does it during the week, but I just don't see it, so it's fine. And she's eating and I'm like, she needs a vegetable. That girl needs a vegetable. And she's like, fine, you don't have to have it. Giving that to me. I'm like, okay, that's fine. I don't want it. Next thing, Domino's. Oh, can you go and get that? I won't be able to pick it up because they put it on the floor, Domino's, right, for COVID. So she gets it. I'm like, there's no way that's just for her. She orders. She goes, yeah, I know. There was a deal. I had to do a deal. It's not a deal when you're spending nearly 20 quid on pizza. There's no deal here. The worst wedges in the world. She's like, so there's one for you there. Like, you can have it for your lunch tomorrow. I'm not Monday. I'm not cracking on Domino's at lunch. Like, that stuff ruins me. I'm not in a good way.
Digestive.
I'm not being rude. I'm not getting into this, but Domino's is like a kick in the guts. It's not good for you.
Don't do that, please.
It's not ideal.
Don't give them that on Monday.
So, worst thing is I have it Sunday. So, but luckily, some process times happen between. But I'm eating a dirty Domino's on Sunday. I've already eaten my dinner. I'm like, this is disgusting. I've eaten. So I'm worse now. I'm worse than Sue because I'm eating Domino's.
And you can't throw it away because you can't. I'm paid for food.
I can't be doing that. That's like
That's a tough weekend.
It was intense. I've got to be honest, and it's just, without being rude, it's like what we talked about before. It's about getting people on board, being surrounding. Now, listen, I'm hoping this. Yeah. Well, obviously, it's not going to last forever. I'll be 9 months pregnant. But right now, it's kind of just okay, tentatively going around doing my thing, trying to be nice. I even gave her a foot rub. I don't want to say I'm perfect, but it's not far off, right?
Have you got calluses still from lifting?
Yeah,
scratchy hands.
I'm actually like an exfoliant. I'm like an exfoliant. I'm like a loofah.
Trying to make it the worst experience going. So I never ask again.
Like making the worst cup of tea ever.
Christy would be like, "Oh, can you just give me a massage on my shoulder?" I don't even realise I'm doing it too hard. But she's like, that's gripping too hard.
There's nothing pleasurable about this. It's not a sports
just stop
massage.
It there. Just stop it.
Talking sports massages, going on to the next sort of subject again. So Saturday, we trained together, trained with Dean again. Dean's obviously, as we spoke about in this last podcast, going through some super high volume. We're trying to push on. For some reason, it was like the longest session in the world, wasn't it? It was kind of like a social, long leg session. I actually had my 2 young kids in tow, and they were good, but they were clingy at first. I thought they were brilliant.
They didn't really get too bored, but it was a bit like, I suppose we were doing a bit of Instagram stuff at the same time as well. It was 3 of us going through the same machines. It was about 2.5 hours.
Yeah, it was
one of the longer ones,
long,
wasn't it? But I think with those though, like I said, with long sort of leg day sessions, you need to warm up properly as well. You need to do enough reps, and Dean's warm ups are like 2 times 20 sets.
Yeah,
and before you even get to any working sets.
there's blood in your legs before you've even started, isn't there?
So what's next? Oh, it's 2 times 20, 4 times 15. Okay.
Cool. And then there's 15 drop sets.
I thought that'd be like first exercise. Then you warmed up. You can just go on maybe hamstring curls, just 3 10s. No, 2 times 20, and then 3 times 10.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay,
yeah, it was. Well, actually, I think it was 4 15s. But anyway, it was. It is what it is. But but in saying that, we're talking about environments and things like that, and I was thinking that, when we spoke with him, he was saying on Saturday, he's like, it's no distant to anywhere. But he really enjoyed training here because he had other people involved in the session who were keen. It's almost like sharing the pain sometimes as well as the pleasure. So a good workout. When we talk about when you're trying to succeed in anything, you've got to have the right environment, the right state of mind. The right and there's almost like a triggers and things like that. I mean, we've discussed it in the past about things that, can get you in the right frame of mind and doing stuff. If someone was to have said to me about that leg session and just said, right, you got to do it now. And you're like, what? You're almost not prepped for it. And it's like, oh, you're going to get the best out of the session. Oh, yeah, you're not allowed to, you got to get straight into it. And, sometimes doing things when you're not knowing, especially if they're horrendous like that thing, not knowing what's to come is quite a good thing, but also there's preparation and there's state of mind. And so actually I knew I had a big session, so you're like, right, do I prep differently food wise? Do I, I'm probably going to sleep better. Imagine if I had that monster 2-hour leg session to come and I was like, do you know what, Friday night, beers, woo lads. Not that I'm doing any of that, but you do that and then you get up, you're not going to perform properly. So it's about getting yourself prepped, getting yourself ready, the state of mind, surrounding with other people who are keen to do it. We have a lot of banter with it as well, giving each other stick as soon as we get on, and that's what we enjoy. Obviously, not everyone's going to enjoy that if you're getting the mick taken out of you as you're trying to leg press 300 kg and you're still giving a banter about not moving his knees properly and doing quarter reps but most people are like, oh God, don't say that, it's not nice, absolutely struggling. But it's kind of it's our motivation as well in some respects. It's like, oh, I'll do that, and he's he's chucking on more plates. I'm like, oh, I'll do that.
It's a fact, like with his he's had knee issues in the past, and he's doing well, to be fair.
Those quarter reps are solid. They're fantastic quarter reps. He's going to listen and love this. So it's all about different things that you're doing, and as I say, it's all about environment. Yesterday's environment was Domino's Pizza, sitting on a sofa, whatever, afterwards, and not doing a great deal. I cleaned my car, by the way. You'd be happy about that. But not doing a great deal. Did a long walk, did all that. But once again, I went for the long walk, and then took my mum there. And part of that was just spending time with her. She's going, oh, I like a flat white and a muffin. So, well, I'm now, and Sue's like, oh yeah, get 2 of those cautious. So then there's another muffin on the table. They're not eating the muffin. I end up eating some of the muffin. It's like, wow, brilliant. So I've ended up with scones, muffins, Domino's, McDonald's, all in one weekend. I'm like, that is, that's pretty good. That's pretty good ever, mate. It's the dirtiest weekend ever. I feel a little bit abused.
The food side of the stag do, yeah.
But how many people go through that? Like they have this cycle of like, Monday to Friday I've been really good,
all or nothing,
and then I've done really well. So I'll just order that extra bit in the curry house or whatever. I'll have a little bit of that. I've been good all week, and have a little bit more, and then that rolls on to Sunday, and then it's like
it's
Monday
interesting,
blues.
The story you said about when you were chatting to one of your good friends of yours, and it was like the extra, I can't remember exactly what it was. You'll probably tell me, but the extra 20 calories or whatever of the what was it?
Oh yeah, So what were you talking about? You're talking about the curry house story, where
or the bit. Yeah, was it the beers? But then it wasn't the.
It wasn't the Burger Kings that made it full up. It was the lettuce over the top, sort of thing. So we went in a discussion. I was speaking to, I think I spoke about this before, a very highly intelligent guy and really good, and he had some really interesting things. And we talked about calories and something, and say, listen, when I'm talking about an intelligent person, I'm talking about someone who's done fantastically well for themselves. I hugely respect. But we know that when it comes to nutrition, it's not just, as much as it is from a scientific point of view, your calories in versus calories out. It doesn't make it a simple thing to do, right? There's a lot of other things that come into play. Habits, as a lifestyle, all the different things that we've been doing for multiple years, and you don't just go, okay. And this guy is phenomenal with numbers, so I was like, right, let's talk numbers, and we went boom, 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 and he came up with some of his, I guess, experiences and things he's done in the past, and he said, well, it's lettuce that makes you, put on weight. It was the lettuce that made me gain weight. I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, well, I had 4 Big Macs, but that was the 2,000 calories I was allowed. But then I had some lettuce in the oven. Even that was what sent me over the top. It's like, it was the lettuce that made me fat. I'm like, so there you go. There's a way of looking at it.
If you look at purely numbers, then
and that's kind of what he was saying. Is like, you can get away with eating your calories if it's rubbish food, but you got to be aware of how much you're eating and things. And then the other thing was his mindfulness was. he'd, learning from experience, the sauces were quite caloric, he cooks as well. So he's like, well, actually, a lot of the calories are in the sauces. So you'd go to a curry house and you go, right, well, I'm going to have the dry tikka. I'm going to have, chickpea. So I don't know what it's called in the chickpea, whatever it would be. So possibly some rice. He said, I'm not going to have the naan bread, okay, because I don't really need that, and I've got that. So I've been quite good.
They can be pretty potent in the calorie side of things, can't they?
Yeah, pashwari naan, by the way, beauty.
But good 500.
So having these dishes, being mindful, he said, but then I've switched back 4 cobras. So I've done 4 pints of cobra. He said, but I'm worried about the calories in the sauce. I was like, that's where it kind of falls down a little bit, right? And he's like, yeah, I know. He said, but at least I've been good with my food. And I was like, see, and that's what we tell ourselves. We're like, yeah, but if I hadn't have done that and I'd had the sauce as well, it would have been even worse. Yeah, that is true. You would have been worse.
Some people just do that. They have a beer. They're like, I really want the sauce, and then they're like, well, I've just done it now. That's it. So I might as well go all in.
Yeah, that's it. And it's interesting how we have that communication with ourselves. Is that we make a decision, we know it's not the right one, but we sell it to ourselves as it's a better decision than what it could have been. So like, I know I'm chucking Sue under the bus here, but she'll have something to eat or whatever. And she'll, but is it better than burger and chips, Josh? I'm like, well, maybe it's better than burger and chips, but that's not your only other option in life. Is burger and chips or nothing.
Packet of potatoes.
So yeah, exactly. And she does, and it's like she'll have something. I'm like, is it better than the burger and chips? And I was like, okay, so that was your only other option today was burger and chips versus whatever you got in your hand.
The good thing is that I suppose hopefully it won't last forever. And
this is since day one. This is since day one I met her,
Yeah, I mean, like, as in, hopefully, when the baby arrives, that you'll be like, oh, okay, now it's time to.
even you don't believe it. You can't even say it. Even you don't believe it.
I know. You're still going to crack the dominoes.
I love it. You couldn't even finish your sentences. Like, even I don't want to lie to the people. The people that are listening.
What if she orders another one for the little one? I just ordered I can't eat anything yet.
Sure, I'll have to have that then. If it's going to be lazy and not eat his burger, I'll have it. I can't see it go to waste.
Another thing people tell themselves is, I've eaten the Dominoes. I'll have an apple instead, just to put a bit of goodness in the body. Okay, but that's another 70 calories you've added on top now.
Yeah, it's the lettuce, the major fat.
Yeah, half the Dominoes in the apple, and you're probably better off.
Yeah, it was interesting, So this morning, anyway, woke up, not to get too much into it, but didn't feel fantastic digestively, weirdly, considering eating what I'd eaten, and that's cool. But this morning, it sounds really silly, but up and down throughout the night now, Sue is having she's in that sort of phase now where she's, let's say, having to go to the loo quite a lot, she's having a bit of heartburn, so as much as I'm like a very good sleeper, you are a little bit conscious of waking up, and I'm not saying she's ruined my night's sleep, I'm not having a dig at her, but I'm saying, like, you don't sleep perfectly, and then the alarm went off. And so I talk about this every year, and actually, if you've ever listened to anything we've talked about before, I have this little game I play with myself, especially when it comes into autumn, is beat the snooze, right? You've got to beat the snooze button. I don't actually ever do it now. It used to be a thing. Since I started playing the game in the winter, obviously must have become a habit, but I used to be very good, and as you can imagine, it drove Sue crazy, but the alarm would go off, and I went, snooze that for 5 minutes, having a 5-10, because it's cold, right? It's dark. 5-10 minutes, it could be like 5 o'clock, could be 4:30, depending on what day it was. It's like, just squeeze out another 5-10 minutes. That 5-10 minutes is doing me no good. All I'm thinking about is I've got to get up in 5-10 minutes. I'm not sleeping, I'm not resting, I'm bugging the hell out of Sue. It still is going to be what it is when I get out. So I flipped in. I was like, right, the game is I'm not allowed to press snooze anymore. So I didn't press. I haven't done for probably years now. But it's still something that I challenge people to do. Now it's getting a bit darker. Especially if you're like a 6 a.m. crew trainer, you're in early doors, getting things done before going to work. You've probably been doing it quite well when you could have this year. And, you're probably highly motivated getting back in after being locked down and stuff. And you've got in for 6 a.m. It's all good. But it's getting a bit darker now. It's getting a little bit tougher. And there's going to be that challenge of, can I or should I just slide out of this one? And bits. But I challenge you now to not only do that, get up, do your thing, do whatever you have to do before training, get there, get it done, come back, have your shower, and then do a bit of cold therapy. That's been the newest thing probably. So not only now in this last year have I got up, beat the snooze, I've done my gratitude stuff, which I do because I kind of do that when I'm having breakfast. And just as I'm eating breakfast, rather than scrolling through your phone and ingesting a load of rubbish from social media. I'm actually thinking and exporting. So I'm giving myself space. Almost the way I see it is space to learn something good in the rest of the day. I'm putting down good thoughts, positive something to get me started. Maybe even write down, if I haven't done already, usually Sunday I do it before Monday, but like say I hadn't on, say it's a Wednesday for instance, and put down 3 things I want to achieve that day, especially through work, maybe 3 other things that just need to be ticked, so I'm feeling good. Get those things written down and done, and say then I jump in the shower and it's like, right, I'm going to put it on cold. So and I do that, and I've got to be honest, I probably don't always hit a minute, but even just a little bit of a dance to shake about. I've washed myself and I'm like, right, cold, do my face. I've almost got like a routine, not that you need to picture this, but yeah, I'm sort of jiggling at the moment. But anyway, it starts off the top of my head because I've got hair to protect me a little bit. You wouldn't know that, Rob. Anyway, then go face, and then I'm working my way down, shall we say. Then I turn around and it hits your back. And you're like, oh, when it hits your back, it feels like it smashes you in the lungs a little bit. It's like, whoosh. And then I shake it on down, go through, then, a little bit of a blast to the face. And that's me.
Well, the key, the cold therapy, the key is to be relaxed as much as you can.
I have to hit it for hard first.
You've got to try and control your heart rate, control your breathing, just embrace the cold, right? So
so I have a dance for about 5-10 minutes before I can do that. I have to have the whole body touched by the cold, because you know what I mean though. If you have like a warmer area and you like getting cold just one area,
you've got to move around.
So that's it. I dance around for about probably 30 seconds, like properly jiggle, get my routine done, and then I try to breathe through it. And the one thing I did try for a little while, which by the way I don't know if you've tried, is doing the alphabet backwards. You've ever tried that? It's meant to be really good for like switching yourself on, being focused, getting onto it. It's hard to do sober, in the middle of the day, whenever, like when you're super focused. Try doing it when you're getting beaten by cold water. Honestly, by the time you get out of there, you don't know what's going on. It's like wow.
Actually, I do get, so I do about 2 or 3 minutes at the moment, and I do get pretty clear thoughts. I'll have as a pop of your lid then.
That was a loud noise, isn't it?
That was my thoughts clearing. And it gives me sort of some clarity on what to sort of do that day. And it doesn't necessarily going to put this bottle down now.
I know, it was just really like trying not to.
People watching this like, what are you doing? You're really slow.
Slow motion.
But yeah, 2 or 3 minutes, and people are. I've kind of posted about this, and members have asked. People said, why are you actually doing that? Why? I've tried it. I couldn't do it. I did like 10 seconds, and it's like, great. Well, 10 seconds is good. To finish off, you don't wash it in the cold water. Have you ever tried washing it in cold water? When say like the hot's gone off, the soap doesn't come off, does it properly? Doesn't seem like it. I
don't feel like it's cleaning me.
No.
Someone's like like washing your hands. Like who was it? I remember someone washing their hands in cold water. And I was like, what are you up to? I was actually angry. I was like, you haven't washed your hands, mate. He's like, well, I have. It's just using water.
The heat kills the bugs.
But I was like, no, you need hot water. It's hot water and soap. No, that's all right. I'm like, I'm not having that. It genuinely bugged me. No. I know it sounds like a weird thing to say.
The difference between the temperatures is key as well. So you wash yourself in hot water, it raises the body temperature a bit, and then you crank on the cold. Almost like if you've ever been in a plunge pool, just jump straight in.
Centre Parks.
They are great, aren't they? Those outdoor. It's like a little tube in the ground, basically. You just jump in. It's ice cold outside. But and like any European spas and things always have different temperature places, like obviously loads of different sauna rooms, steam rooms.
He's showing his class here. European spas. Yeah, which is where I like to go on a weekend.
Jump European into the plunge pools. But the only option we've got, I suppose, is the shower in a house at the moment. Although I do know there's an ex-Royal Marine who does some crazy charity things. He's a guy, if you may have seen him on Facebook, Disney RM. Disney's his name, Matt Disney, and he basically carried a Concept 2 rower, which is the big rowing machines, trekked it up to the top of I forget where the last place he did. I'm sure he's done it on top of Ben Nevis or something, but he runs it up, rows the height of some. I think he rode the height of Everest or something on top and then carried it back down. He's been doing different peaks with that, carrying the rower. He's done all sorts of crazy challenges. Anyway, I just saw on his social earlier in the year, he built a bath in the garden, basically dug in a bath into his garden with running water and stuff, so with drainage and everything, just in case, because he's even answered the question, like people are like, oh, what if animals get fall in and you've got a submerged sort of water with a lid on as well. He's like, oh no, I've got drainage and taps and things, whatever. And he goes on crazy runs, does loads of barefoot running and stuff. jumps in an ice cold bath, loads of ice, but it does you good. Like I remember we'd go on like 6-10 mile runs or whatever. There'd always be a part where we'd get fully submerged on that run. You'd always come back absolutely soaking, and you have to dry your trainers out, obviously, so you get multiple pairs because you know that they'll always be wet, and you'd be running through. Obviously, beauty of it being, say, like last place I was at was near Dartmoor, so you'd have loads of ice cold streams, rivers, and things. You just run down, jump, right, fully submerged underneath, go. You get out, and your legs, after you've been running, they're pumping full of blood. Go through the river, feels great. Like, it feels like you've got a new, like, it's just the lactic acid, it's the therapy on the muscles. But doing it every day in the morning, come to this point, is you've got, like, I forget the distance, it's something like 80 miles of capillaries and, like all the blood vessels in the body. So much of it that the cold, when it hits that, it's almost therapy for they actually constrict, and you force your body to make physiological changes to adapt to that cold. Your heart rate might increase. It's so cold. So you've got to try and control that from the mental side of things. Then obviously your breathing. If you ever got in underwater, try and catch your breath, isn't it? So that's almost an involuntary action to a degree, but you can control. You can expose yourself to the cold often, and follow a lot of stuff by Wim Hof, who's the Iceman. He does things. He's done mountain treks and things in no clothes. He's crazy. He literally goes up with. He's got such a like a resistance and a tolerance to cold. He'll just sit there in the snow, butt naked, just embracing it.
I've got to be honest with you.
Ages,
I don't see me doing that.
We haven't got. I mean, you can't imagine walking out. Around the industrial estate where we are, and I'm just embracing the cold.
I've got to be honest with you. I think someone got arrested in Manchester for that last week. So,
exactly.
You've got to be very aware of this. We're not advocating nude, strange walking, by the way.
Not in the wilderness, but we can do our own bit, I suppose, and that starts with, even if it's
building
10
a bath.
seconds. Yeah,
building a bath in the back of the unit.
10 seconds of
submerging people.
Cold water blast. But you've probably noticed it as well. The last few weeks, even your house water's got colder.
Yeah.
So in the summer, I'd have it on cold, and it'd be like, it's cold. It's not ice cold. I remember when I started doing this, like a year or two ago, at least. Well, it wasn't this March. It was March before. I did it often because we went to Wales. We had a cottage, and it was absolutely Baltic. I was starting it then, put it on the cold. I was like, oh wow! Like 30 seconds was so cold. Now it's getting a bit cold now, which is good.
I think it's more fun when it's properly cold.
I was contemplating putting an outdoor shower outside.
I do. Yeah, well, yeah. Be careful of the old neighbours there. You might have to get some.
Well, no, I was in swimming shorts.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Cool. Imagine that at like 5 o'clock in the morning. You can hear something going on. What's going on outside? It's just you bathing, just going. I always remember when we went to. I think I brought up before me, you, and Ryan Martin. We just sat in the steam room and we had a sauna, and he was getting used to sort of
difference.
He was trying to get used to the whole cold therapy. I think he does quite regularly, and he's been doing cold therapies for a long time and stuff. But we were like, right, okay, sauna, steam room, whatever it was, sauna, I think it was, wasn't it? Then we got out, and it was like, that's warm. Chucked on the cold shower in that gym, and it was cold.
That's from like 70 degrees. That's about whatever that sauna was.
Yeah,
jumping straight under the cold water.
Oh, and he was like, "Nah, I'm not doing." He wasn't having any of it, was it? And
he loves it now.
He loves his cold therapy. I'm like, right, let's see if we can challenge him, see if he's improved. It was like, right, let's test him. Let's get back to that sauna. Let's get warm. Let's see if we can handle the cold. I say that. I mean, I was only dancing around it for a minute, but we had a minute, didn't we? And that was, it was good. But yeah, so I think that once again, like these things in the morning, from just first of all, the challenge was not snoozing. Getting myself doing something, consistent. Then go doing the cold shower. I've almost feel like I've challenged myself multiple times, and it's definitely a feeling of almost winning or being successful or whatever it is. But you do it and you feel good. You achieved something. You've overcome something that's uncomfortable. Yeah. So it kind of feels like you can do that for the rest of the day. You're on the ball's rolling. You've got this momentum built up already. And then the nice thing is I usually have a good 20 minutes at least of listening to some good input. So I've exported something positive, listened to something, that I feel that hopefully benefit me mind, physically, whatever, just learning. Something, it doesn't have to be a learning thing either, just having something going in that's, fun, whatever, may brings you a smile. I wouldn't listen to personally, I wouldn't be listening to the news and things like that, because you've got no control over what's going to come in and what's going to be said. And let's be honest, a lot of the time, radio stations and stuff, there's a lot of negativity going on at the moment. Put something good, something positive in, and then, do you know what? You say you're going to the gym or going exercising or do something movement-wise, that's always great. Get to work. I do a bit of writing, share some stuff, because once again, for me personally, to try and learn something, I have to try and learn as if I'm going to teach it, and then I come and spout a load of rubbish either on a podcast or write something down, and maybe one person reads it, and happy days if they do. If they don't, fair enough. And you go through this, and it creates a really good start of a day. And I think most people could do something similar if they wanted to. Or if someone's struggling for motivation, once again, you've got to look back, and we've stripped this back before time and time again, look at why I'm wanting to do these things anyway. Why are you jumping in a cold shower? Well, you've got to see the benefits of it for sure, and you've got to look at these things. And if you can have that reason to get up and to do it, then as I said, it becomes a habit. As I say, I never snooze anymore. I always chuck on a little bit of a cold beer at the end of the shower, because do you know what? It feels like that's how I finish my shower now. Yeah, it sounds really silly. That's how it goes.
It feels
I start
weird
my days
not to do it now. If I'm short on time, and maybe it's a weekend, we've got up, I've got the kids ready. I normally, obviously before work, jump in the shower, got them ready, and then an hour or two's passed. I'm like, right, we've got to get out the door now. I jump in, just have a hot shower. I'm like, we've only got 5 minutes. Okay. Feels weird just to be like, oh no, I need 60 seconds of a blast.
Yeah, cold.
I haven't got time to enjoy it. Well, it sounds weird, but just to enjoy a cold shower. So it does. It's part of the routine, but also a lot of the other things. So people, you've shared your little tonic, and members have said, oh yeah, it's just like a shit G&T, or no, what is it? Tequila, sorry.
Poor man's tequila, isn't it?
Without the alcohol.
No tequila, basically. So
but salt and lemon. But I've obviously stepped up to still nowhere near Ryan Martin's level, and I really want to get some of those sort of supplements that he puts into his morning tonics. They look great. For gut health and immunity and things.
Well, you've put it out there now, so basically I've seen that as you've got to do it. You can't. There's nothing stopping you doing it, right?
There isn't actually. It's more about just getting learning the ingredients properly and putting the amount of droplets and things like milk thistle and
that's just a quick point on that is because you're understanding, you're not just
doing
things.
I'm comfortable doing some high strength vitamin C, squeeze fresh lemon, salt. And
but what I was about to say there is that you're on about doing these instead of just doing it because somebody else is doing it. You want to understand it as well, and that's a good thing to do, right? It's educate yourself on these things. Don't just because I'm drinking a poor man's tequila shot and you're doing cold showers and whatever. Maybe that's not right for you. Maybe actually your body it's pretty bad for you. You're someone who's struggling with certain things. It could be a real shock to the body. Your heart goes through the roof. It's not. Yeah, exactly. So remember, always with anything that's being said by anybody, do a little bit of research and understand why you're doing it. You say milk thistle might be something that it could be fantastic for you, but it might also be something that you like. It sounds stupid, but certain fish oils, you couldn't take because you're allergic.
Crustacean sort of things.
Because you'd be allergic to it. So you'd be daft not to look into what's actually in these things. If you've never heard of it, you might be like, what on earth is that? You might not know that it's where it's from or what it does. Is it a plant-based thing? Is it an animal-based thing? You don't know. You're not just going to start. Well, maybe you would, and if you did. Once again, you don't understand it, then you don't know why you're doing it. Then if you've got an understanding of why you're doing something and what benefits it's got, you're much more likely to continue doing it. If someone says, take this blue pill because it's going to make you feel good, and then you don't really know if it's making you feel, if you read it and you went, this blue pill actually is going to help you make sure you get the right vitamin levels that you need for this, this and this, it's going to help you do this, boom, 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 boom. Sometimes a lot of things that we do, we don't see the initial reaction from, If you're to go out and have, the Domino's pizza, right, I've had that, and I can do that. Well, do you know what? Sometimes I don't see this natural reaction of it's bad for me internally, my gut's having to work like 10 times harder. You might get a reaction, when you're excreting or something. I don't know. It depends on how bad your stomach is.
You'll probably find that your skin and your, just things get
Sometimes I feel a little bit like I'm hungover. Yeah. Sometimes I feel like I'm hungover the day after eating really bad food.
Eyes feel heavy.
Yeah,
dehydrated.
Is it that obvious? Do I look that bad? But you see what I'm saying? But if someone says, I'm going to punch you in the face, well, you get an instant reaction of how bad it is. You get a sore nose, you might bleed, you might not from the way I punch, but you get all these instant. If everything had that, almost a bit like a car, like if you get a flat tire, it you've got a flat tire. It gives us that warning sign, but we don't get that with all the stuff we put into our bodies. And sometimes I think that if we had more of a understanding of the actual long-term benefits or negatives, that something was to go, right, you've just done this, and this is actually going to decrease your life by boom. Imagine if it did something like that. You'd be like,
definitely.
well, crikey! Every time you went to have a smoke of a cigarette, it's like you've just lost 2 hours of your life. I'm not sure. I don't actually know the numbers on that, by the way, so don't get in on me, smokers. But you definitely think about it twice.
Start searching for the good things that add more hours back on.
Yeah, sure. Exactly. Yeah,
you've done 45 minutes exercise and added another day to your life.
Yeah, you're like, sweet. Yeah. I'm going to do that again, actually, because that's probably not bad. But then I suppose,
but then there might be a point where there's of no return, where it actually takes off when you get too fatigued. So you need to recover to get more.
Yeah, exactly. And imagine that'd be brilliant, wouldn't it? It wouldn't be a bad thing for everyone to understand that, I guess. Yeah, so it's understanding, isn't it? Yeah, we'll make that happen, Rob, and then we'll make some money. That'd be the dream. So yeah, things like that, getting these different tonics in, getting these. But I suppose what we'll look at today then, to say, because we kind of have cuffed it a little bit today, is, and sometimes that's one thing. Maybe
sometimes going off plan.
How about this for the thought of the day then? Don't be afraid to do something for the fear of failing. We could have jumped onto this and maybe have chucked out possibly the world's worst podcast today. It might be something you've actually enjoyed, but either way, if you comment and we get feedback from it, we're going to learn a lesson. It might be that actually I much prefer you spouting the way you do and not being too structured. When you try to structure it, it sounds a bit meh. When actually I prefer it when, you might, I don't know, it sounds stupid, but swear a little bit and show your real personalities and tell us a bit more about your lifestyles and the way you're doing it, communicating through story versus giving us facts and figures and boom and boom. Mm-hmm. You might be someone who goes, actually, I want to know a little bit more about the science of things. But the reality is, if we hadn't just chucked something out here, we could have procrastinated and gone, we haven't got this down today, or we haven't quite got that structure going on. We've got a busy day. We need to work on this because we had a curveball this morning. I mean, bear in mind, it's a Monday morning, 6 a.m. You're getting curveballs thrown at you. There's a good chance that could throw off people's weeks and you don't do stuff. But the reality is, because we had things in place and we go, right, these 3 things need to be done as a business, these 3 things we want to achieve later on in the day, we know we've got to get them in. So how do we do it? We have to, you have to adapt, and maybe we'll learn the lesson that actually we have to plan our podcast the night before in case we do face something on a Monday morning. But the reality is, don't be afraid to do something because it may not go out perfectly. If you're always doing something that you're good at, then you're never going to really become better at anything. You've got to find yourself,
fail.
When you try something new, you've got to be willing to fail, because that fail is a lesson. We've talked about this before. If you're constantly doing stuff you're comfortable with, like getting up and, going to do whatever, get yourself uncomfortable. Do the morning routine. Don't tell yourself you can't do something, because you probably can. You just got to understand why you want to do it, find the reason for it, find the driver that's big enough. If you're still searching for motivation to do something, then you haven't looked deep enough. You've got to ask a better question, look at why you want to do it, and then go, yeah. And, the first thing your body's naturally going to want to do is protect yourself. So it might turn around and go, yeah, but you can't do it because of A, you can't do it because of B. Or you can just go and do it. Something actually one of my clients said, who's also a coach to fighters. He said, and it was something he read, I think it was from Mike Tyson's coach or something, and he was like, learn to love the things you hate to do, So he hates cardio, right? The only thing he likes to do is he gets his cardio through fighting. I was like, yeah, but have you ever been pushed out of your comfort zone because you're fighting with people who you're fitter than, and you're going to face someone who's fitter than you? I was like, let's push that zone that's you don't get to. And we went on there, and I started to do it, and he went, yeah, okay. And he was like, usually I'd said no because I hate it, but he's like, yeah, okay, because I've got to learn to love this. I'm going to learn to love the things I hate. And do you know what? He did it. Fair play to him. I mean, yeah, he wasn't happy about it afterwards, but he done it. And do you know what? But if he said no, he'd never have done it. He would never been pushed that hard. And now he's like, I've got to do it again. I've got to get better. So it's created a knock-on effect. So he didn't care about if he failed as such or didn't get a high number or score on this test. He was like, I'm going to do it because it gives me a starting point. And that's what we've got to do, I guess, find our starting point and we can improve on it.
Yeah, indeed.
Cool.
And, so if anyone's watching this, listening to it, and you have questions, fire them to us. Make comments on the posts, and obviously we will answer. We'll put structured
we'd appreciate
question
that, right?
and answers into the next podcast for sure. We get random questions from clients all the time, which we put in and try to answer. But the listeners, the watchers.
That sounds stupid. If you're a client who asks this question privately in the DMs or whatever, that's great. But put them down for other people to see, because sometimes I feel like we're chucking out things and they're like, who are these people? Who are these clients? Yeah, they don't have no clients. They're lies. You make them up themselves, which sometimes we do, right?
But throw some questions at us, please. We'd love to answer them. Yeah.
Enjoyed that. Sweet. Thanks for listening, guys.
And if you've enjoyed it, then give us a like, comment, share. And next week, will it be off the cuff?
Well, we'll see.
Will you have a little one on the way?
Yeah, so will I be here?
Exactly. I might be do 2 rolls.
2 rolls,
between the seats.
I love that. I'd love to see that. Right. Cheers, guys. Thanks. Peace.
Bye.